Hey everybody, this is Tyler Bryant, Executive Director for Seniors Need Movers and the creator of the program. We have a special podcast today for the Seniors Need News. It's an interview that I conducted with Katie Neuguth of Sunnybrook in Brunswick, Maine. Katie there is a sales director, and she's going to be talking a little bit more about this coming year and a little bit about her experience, so enjoy. Thank you, everybody, for listening in to Seniors Need News. This is Tyler Bryant. I am the Executive Senior Living Director for North American Van Lines and also the creator of Seniors Need Movers, the North American Senior Program. And I have a special guest today, Katie Neuguth from Sunnybrook Village, and she is the sales director there. Hi, Katie. How are you?
I'm great. How are you, Tyler?
I'm doing so well. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today. We really appreciate it. So I have a few questions, Katie, that I'd love to ask because we've been doing the Seniors Need News now just to get a better idea from not only directors at the communities that we work with, but also senior move managers, just to kind of see how the last year was and how things are currently moving forward. So I guess to start, though, Katie, we all would love to know just how you got into this career path.
Well, I started out as a realtor. And I was living in Wisconsin with my husband and family at the time, and I decided to take on a position as a property manager for a senior affordable housing community. And so I was there from the very beginning when it was first built, and I filled the building and managed it and created social programs for them and just absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
So we tended to move around a lot because my husband did work for the government, and we moved to Northern Virginia where I became the marketing director for a assisted living and memory care community. And so then segue to my husband retiring, and we had always wanted to live in Maine because it's so beautiful. And so we moved here, and I started my position here.
How many years have you been with Sunnybrook now?
Actually, only a few months. So,
wow.
Yeah, so I started during COVID, and it's been really interesting and at times challenging.
Yeah.
But I love trying to be the bright spot, one of the bright spots in this challenging time. And just we've really brought a lot of fun when we can for our residents.
I've been working directly with Sunnybrook now for a few years, actually. So I think it's almost been 3 years, and I did want to say, Katie, I think you've been doing an amazing job over there.
Thanks.
And I think the key to any type of service, especially when we're talking about senior living, the biggest key is communication. I mean, communication is key in any form of business, but specifically to senior living, it's so important. I think you have very thorough communication. Anytime that we are informed of a resident that needs a move or anything like that, details are great. We know exactly what we're pretty much going into when we're starting to work with the family. So I did want to say that. I think you've been doing a phenomenal job.
Thank you. I want to tell you, because of the fact that I have moved quite a bit with my family, I know a good moving company and a good executive director for a moving company when I see one. You have been Johnny on the spot. Anything we need, you're there, and your people are pleasant and thorough and so helpful, and you just really get the job done, and it's just a pleasure to work with your company.
Thank
all the
you,
way
Katie.
around.
Yeah, we appreciate that very, very much, and it's always good to work with others in the same industry that share that passion, for it, and I definitely do, and I know my team members do, and I know you do, and your team does as well. So it's great. And going more into Sunnybrook, so what areas of care does Sunnybrook service, really?
Well, as an assisted living community, we have 5 levels of care. So someone could come in completely independent and just wanting 24/7 care if they need it. So we have residents that drive, but then, with the levels of care, we can really provide any of their ADLs, any of their daily living needs. We can help them when, that's required. Anything from medication management to standby assist when they're showering.
Yeah.
So we kind of do it all. Of course, we aren't a skilled nursing facility, but we can offer anything they need with their daily living needs.
Yeah, absolutely. And what would you say, Katie, that really Sunnybrook offers? That's something that's unique about Sunnybrook that differs from other communities that are around.
We truly believe in aging in place. We handle end of life too. So
yeah.
We ensure that as long as someone wants to live here, we're going to make that happen for them. We don't send them off to a nursing home when their needs become too great.
Yeah, I think that's so important too, to be able to offer something like that. That really does differentiate you from most, and I think it's very important. Aging in place is extremely important. So that's definitely a very unique quality.
Very seriously.
Yeah,
It's their home, so yeah.
Yeah, and I hate to even have to talk about it, but I mean it's obviously such a huge subject, especially when we're talking about senior living. In my position and the fact that we handle moving for hundreds of communities across the country, following and understanding COVID-19 and the protocols that are in place and everything is obviously very important. And I think, I read a really amazing article a couple months ago that was talking about why now is a better time than ever for families to really look into moving their loved one into a community. Less time going out in public. All of their needs are met right there in one place. Medications, just having people there instead of having to continually go out into public during this COVID-19 crisis that we've been dealing with. But how has Sunnybrook really been handling COVID-19? And what's some of the protocols that have been in place and things that have really been keeping the residents and the staff safe?
Well, one thing I want to say about Northbridge is it's an extremely proactive company. So when the COVID crisis hit, we were the first communities to close our doors to move-ins, and I think that's part of the reason why we have stayed safe. And we have a committee of people that hold COVID calls each week. In the beginning, it was several times a week. Now it's down to a call each week, and it keeps us knowledgeable of exactly what's happening with the CDC on a weekly basis. And that's really been so effective. And another thing that has been so great about this company, when restrictions are lifted, we jump on it. For instance, when we were finally told that we could open our dining room, I think it was the next day, it was open. So, we, of course, are keeping our residents safe, but we also want to keep them engaged whenever we can, because this isolation has been so difficult for every single one of them.
Socialization is so important. So even the fact to have a common room area such as the dining room or activity room, even if it's limited, I mean, just the ability to have the residents to be able to see each other in one of those areas, I'm sure is rewarding compared to what it has been. Yeah, it's definitely very important.
Yeah.
What are some of the goals that you have for Sunnybrook, or what are some maybe company goals Northbridge has as a whole going into this new year in 2021?
Well, I really think the goal is to try to get back to normal safely. And one of the first things, we had our vaccines on Tuesday, our first round of vaccines.
That's exciting.
Yeah, and we're hoping that that's going to move us, along quicker. I mean, the more people that can get these vaccines, the quicker we can get back to normalcy is really the goal. And, it's definitely always keeping our residents happy and putting a smile on their face each and every day. We really believe that. I don't know. I feel like our staff puts the sunny in Sunnybrook. They really are pretty upbeat, absolutely upbeat people. We do a great job. I don't do the hiring, but I will say Sunnybrook does a great job of hiring the right people.
And for everyone listening too, Sunnybrook is located in Brunswick, Maine, and it is kind of on the outskirts of town. It's right between Brunswick and Bath. It is in a beautiful location. If you were to look towards the back of the building, they have like this nice wooded path They have this nice fountain that comes out of the water. I mean, it's just a very, very beautiful scenery there. Great location and a very beautiful spot to have a community like this. So, but Katie, I appreciate it. I appreciate you taking the time to talk with me and to answer all these questions. You've been great. Your team's been great, and we're all hoping for a better 2021. Going forward.
Thank you.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you so much for listening to this podcast with Katie Neuguth. I think it was a great interview. I love the fact that she's so optimistic about this year, 2021, and taking a lot of what everyone's learned in this last year in dealing with COVID and what we're going to do to balance that out and really have a better understanding of what we need to do for safety and precautions, and still being able to have the residents do their daily activities and dining. And as she had mentioned, opening up the dining room, they did it the day that they knew they were allowed to do it, and I just think that's really exciting. So I thought that was a really great podcast. Stay tuned for future podcasts. We're going to be doing an interview with Brandon Boulware, our Senior Living Advisor, who's going to be talking to us a little bit about his job and what he offers when it comes to the work he does with communities and their residents. And we have other podcasts to come, so stay tuned, and thank you for listening to Seniors Need News.